Hello, I'm Angela Chen. Thank you for joining us for the 2021 Palm Springs Life Women Who Lead virtual event. I come to you from the new Raymond Cappy designed house in the Desert Palisades neighborhood of Palm Springs. It's gorgeous. I'm thrilled to be here to introduce and celebrate our phenomenal Women Who Lead honorees. Each year, Palm Springs Life magazine asks readers to nominate outstanding women in 3 categories of leadership: business, rising star, and nonprofit. Now, before I introduce our extraordinary honorees, I'd like to thank the sponsors who have made it possible for you to participate in today's virtual program. First, we thank our presenting sponsor, SBEMP Attorneys, for their ongoing support. We'd also like to thank SkinCeuticals Skin Lab Cosmetic Surgery Institute on El Paseo for their sponsorship of Women Who Lead. Please take a moment now to watch each of their messages.
Hi, I'm Valerie Powers-Smith, partner at SBMP Attorneys. The annual Women Who Lead event is an important opportunity to shed light on some of the dynamic and powerful work being done by extraordinary women in the Coachella Valley. SBMP is involved in this event because we are advocates for women, women in business, and women as leaders. Kudos to this year's honorees and to all of the women leaders out there working hard every day to make the desert a better place. Keep up the great work.
Thank you again, SBEMP Attorneys and SkinCeuticals Skin Lab Cosmetic Surgery Institute. Now let's meet our 2021 Women Who Lead honorees. Our first honoree, Dr. Shubha Kerkar, is an infectious disease physician at DAP Health and on staff at Desert Regional Medical Center and Eisenhower Health. Our Rising Star honoree, Laurie Moulton, is the founder and CEO of House of Lolo, Luxbox Agency, and Lolo Interiors in Palm Desert. She's ambitious. And in the final category, nonprofit leader, we honor Shay Moraga, founder of the nonprofit Shay's Warriors. Through education, inspiration, podcasts, and frequent visits to local cancer centers, Shay and her team work to support local medical staff and patients doing incredible work. Welcome and congratulations to you 3 for your remarkable accomplishments. So many questions to ask you. I'm going to start with the biggest one. What is your biggest takeaway from last year? Shay, let's start with you.
I think my biggest takeaway is the fact that with community, we can get through anything at all. Yeah. I mean, the pandemic was, in a weird sense, very parallel to what cancer is like when you go through it. An isolation, a loneliness. And, now that we're kind of coming out of this bubble, this protective bubble we've been in for a long time, you look back and you're like, wow, I got through something that was incredibly hard, mentally and physically.
Right. I think it's fair to say everybody had a tough time, and you're right, in so many ways it is like a battle with cancer. Happy to see so many, we're coming back. The Palm Springs area is thriving in so many ways. What about you, Laurie? Tell me what your most significant takeaway was.
That's definitely a loaded question, but I would say, for me, it was really about, I've always prided myself on my ability to get through things. I always saw it as nothing was too big or, it was boundless. And then COVID hit, and I feel like it really threw me back. It made me reassess what my skill sets were and really made me think about whether I had the strength and the foresight to get through it, to lead a team through it, to really empower people, to really bring everybody together to figure out what we were going to do next. And I found that it was really interesting because the power that I felt like I had before COVID, I found within COVID, and we're better off for it. We brought our teams together, we really empowered people, we really allowed our teams to help us through it, and it was scary, but we got through it. We're really excited that we're here now. Yeah.
How did you get out of that moment where you questioned yourself a little bit as this happened?
I think I really just leaned on my skill set, my knowledge, all the things that I've done in my career. I was in a corporate career for 23 years, being an entrepreneur and putting together a family business and really creating something. I think it just really empowered me to utilize all of those skills and push us forward. It really propelled us forward.
That ambition and confidence, it maybe leaves you at times, it never really leaves you, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
powered you through.
Yes.
And Dr. Kerkar, wow, as a physician during COVID-19, you must have seen incredible things on the front line. What about you? What was your biggest takeaway?
I think the pandemic really showed us that we have, as human beings, incredible courage, incredible strength that we never think we have as a team. And I'm talking about, in healthcare. The biggest takeaway was the staff, the nursing, the RNs in the intensive care unit, in the emergency rooms, the entire team of hospital administration, trying to huddle through on a day-to-day basis, putting together as things were changing, like as if you were trying to fix a roller coaster while you're on it.
Yeah.
So if you were imagining that, I think it brought the best in everyone that were facing this. And, I don't think anybody was leading it, but we were all in it and trying to clarify information, trying to win trust and faith in the science of it, understand the science as we, things were unfolding in the pandemic, and trying to keep each other's strengths. It was exhausting to see everyone be there every single day from March of 2020 to almost every day now. Things are much better. But I think the biggest takeaway was the immense human resilience, courage, empathy, and we knew that there was no cure for COVID. So a lot of the processing of information and getting people through, and then we now have a silver lining on the pandemic, the dark cloud, and that is vaccination. And we have ways to go about winning faith and trust in the vaccines, because that's our way to actually get through in the future.
You said it was like fixing a roller coaster while you were on it. I think that succinctly
when we are on
captures how wild of a ride this has been. Obviously, you had to lead teams, RNs, multiple people throughout the course of that year as you did this, and you showed those leadership skills. I'll start with you again. How do you encourage those same leadership skills in women?
I think that when challenged, we know we have it in us. And how do we nurture that? How do we teach that? It's an ongoing process, because we're all learning ourselves and trying to, inspire others. So I think I'm hoping that just as others inspired me, and some of the most unexpectedly people that inspired me weren't even, in medicine or anything, but it was their courage and the way they handled their crises helped me with mine. And I think that's what we want to learn and teach others who are, inspiring to be in the position of leadership because everyone is a leader.
You never know who you'll inspire, even if you don't mean to.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, younger women who so often look toward other women to figure out how they should go about their own lives. Same question for you. It can be a shark eat shark world in real estate and in business. How do you cultivate those same qualities in other women?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. It is inspiring and encouraging other women. I always say, don't compare. Really create and encourage other women. It's not about competition. It's about how can we help each other. And I don't think that that's really a way of life for a lot of people. And so in everything that we do, we really are encouraging the women on our teams. I mean, in my corporate career, I really tried to mentor as many people as possible. I think it's really all about teaching, exactly as you said, how to inspire, how to encourage, how not to be, jealous and compare, but actually lift each other up. That's how we help those women become successful. That's how we help them with their confidence. And that's how we allow them to take risks.
Right. Yeah. I think you're very right. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And what's the point? Someone's success is not your failure.
Exactly.
It's a really, really strong point.
Use it to inspire you.
Exactly.
To encourage you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shay, what about you?
Well, I always have a saying that we're stronger together. And one thing that I have done, and it took time to learn, but it was from my experience of going through cancer that, you have to have a sense of, in a leadership role, of vulnerability. And to be able to be like, you know what, I'm gonna tell you my story, or I'm gonna share with you what's going on, because I'm not always the strong one. That might be what is perceived in social media or in the public eye or whatnot, but we all have stuff going on. And so if I can share that publicly, that vulnerability, that story, it inspires other women, men, children to share their stories and be vulnerable. And then it's almost like a ripple effect that just keeps going on and on. And when we're able to share our stories, we're able to allow ourselves to start to heal.
What do you say to someone who's scared to share their story because they're embarrassed or they think it just won't come across the right way?
I don't tell people that they have to share their story. I feel that when they are ready, when that opportunity arises, they will willingly share their story when they feel safe and trusted, trusting within their community of wherever they're at. So it just takes time.
Okay, Laurie, your turn.
Let's go.
Well, in your interview, we talked about collaboration and teamwork there. Talked a lot about it. Talk about, and you touched on it a little bit, how supportive women in the workplace has made you a stronger leader.
Yeah, that's really an important question, because I think that I was really lucky to have incredible women in the workplace that I was able to learn from very early in my career. And I would also say it wasn't just women, right? For me, it was also, I utilized a whole support system of mentors throughout my career. But I would say the biggest one was one of my bosses, one of my very first bosses actually, in my corporate career, who really took the time to listen to what I was willing to do. And so I was eager, I was young, I was driven. I wanted to say yes to everything, and she allowed me to do that. I wanted to push the boundaries of my role and responsibilities, and really look for other ways of building my experience. Really, getting the knowledge that I really wanted. And so she allowed me to do that. So for instance, I would ask to be a part of, the executive committee, like their training that they would go through. I had no right. Who was this girl? But
you asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. You asked.
But I asked, and I just said, I would love to sit in, like just the back of the room. can I sit into all this training that you're putting all the executives through, and I'll be a fly on the wall, and I'll just take everything that I've learned and keep it to myself and kind of do what I hope I can accomplish with it. And she allowed me to do that. That was huge for me. So I think really it was another moment of women lifting each other up, empowering somebody else, believing in them. And I feel like she's been a mentor in work, in my life, in my family. You know, I was able to find what I was hoping to accomplish in my life in her. And because of that, I was able to really dig into the opportunities that she was giving me. And through that, she inspired me. So then I started mentoring other women. And I also found other women in the workplace that were at points in their career that I hope to be at someday. And just spent time with them and asked them, you know, how do I get there? And tell me what I need to do differently. And give me some ideas around what I can expect. What are gonna be those challenges that I need to be faced with? What are the things I need to worry about and the things that I don't? And I think through that, it was interesting because I met a lot of really amazing women who, in the end, I feel like both collaboratively, like together as a team, we became better, and individually we became better. And I look at these women today, and they're all very highly successful, you know, corporate executives, and I really just feel proud to have been a part of that, and lucky to have those mentorships and those relationships, and that people really put their energy into me and, you know, my cause, basically. And then I try to do the same for others. So that's really important to me.
I thought it was interesting in your interview, you said that collaboration is, I mean, it's tough. It doesn't come easy to people. They don't naturally work together. You have to really, really dig in and figure out a way to work together. Yes. Can you explain that?
Yeah, and I think you actually said earlier, being vulnerable. So it's kind of that moment of, in order for that to happen, you truly have to be able to be vulnerable, know your weaknesses, know your strengths, and really just harness all of that, right? Use all of them. So I think that that's really what's important about that, and trust others, right? So we can't do it all. Nobody can. Recognizing where your limits are and knowing where you need to fill in, and, you know, surrounding yourself with a team of people who are eager to be empowered, who have the skill sets and the strengths in order to be great leaders, with you, beside you, and for you.
Well, you're a triple threat. You have a hand in fashion, real estate, and interior design. Tell me about all those passions and how you balance these business pursuits. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. You know, honestly, I have a team, right? My husband and I, after spending practically my whole life in corporate, I realized that I wasn't spending the quality time with my family and my kids that I wanted. So we made a decision that we were gonna do this together. We were gonna create a family business, and that we wanted to do it in a way that not only encouraged our kids to be a part of the business, we didn't force them to, but luckily they want to be a part of it. But really, we wanted to create an ecosystem. So for us, it was about curating lifestyle. And for us, we're very confident and comfortable in business and architecture and real estate and fashion and design. And so it just felt super natural. And we created an organic ecosystem with all of those businesses where they sort of feed the cause of each other, if you will. Yeah. And they complement each other. And they're not only passions, they're pursuits, they're what I live and breathe every day. It's the things that we love. It's, you know, I get excited every day that I wake up knowing two things: that I get to work with incredible people, including my family, and that we're doing incredible things that all make sense together. And so when we're kind of looking at the overall goals and mission and vision of our businesses, it all comes together nicely. And as long as we're communicating that vision to our teams and we're empowering our people and our teams and encouraging them to be great leaders, then I have the ability to balance and bring in my creativity, as well as also being able to, really rely on other people to do great things.
Is there one you love more than the other?
I knew you were going to say that.
Your first love?
I actually prepared for that because I was like, I bet she's going to ask that question. Yeah.
Is it fashion?
I don't really think there is. I think it's as a package. To me, it is me. It's everything that I love.
It's like different facets of
exactly.
you, yeah.
So it all feels so organic and natural, and I don't think I would pick anything over the other, to be honest. Yeah.
All three of you must love being busy, right? I mean, to do the things you do, to achieve the things you have, you're busy people. And I can only imagine with three different, ventures going on, what the day-to-day is like.
You have to have high energy, I think, with all of us,
high
right?
energy.
We love what we do.
Yes.
Doing what I do, and I'm assuming doing what you do, it's not work.
No.
It is a passion, and it comes from our hearts to be able to do this.
Yes.
And we get to do this.
Yeah, we're grateful
that's the
opportunity.
Thing. We get to do this.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So I guess that's one of the qualities women who are starting their own business, they gotta have it, right? They have to have that initiative, and you've got to love being busy. Yeah. What other advice do you have for women who wanna start their own business?
I really feel that they have to surround themselves with good people. And that means in life, in relationships, in work, in family. And it also means creating, a great mentor support system with both men and women, really, to get an understanding from all perspectives of how best to move forward in your business, in your career. And trust yourself. And I really think that, people underplay the fact that you have to really rely on your ability to get through anything. We all have to pull on our strengths for everything that, comes at us. And you have to be able to have that confidence. If you can have that confidence, there's nothing that will stop you. Absolutely nothing. And then that support system there to help build you and help you through, you got this.
I love that because it's so true. When you're confident, nothing can stop you, right? And
Get
then even if
way.
you are rejected or someone says no, whatever, move on.
Don't be afraid of that no.
Or push through.
Don't be afraid of that no, because
Exactly.
I guarantee you, all of us sitting here has gotten tons of no's in our life.
Yep.
And it's
Don't let
okay.
it stop you. Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Kerkar, you've been with DAP Health, formerly Desert AIDS Project, since the early 1990s, when we were at the height of the AIDS pandemic. Surely a lot of parallels between the COVID-19 pandemic and the AIDS pandemic back then. What parallels did you experience?
How much time do you have? So, I never thought that in my lifetime I would see two pandemics. The HIV pandemic and the COVID-19 pandemic have a lot of things in common. And, I think but I was 30 years younger. And, I think that we're still, going to be dealing with the two pandemics and other pandemics simultaneously, such as mental health and other things that have, as a ripple effect, affected. But the parallels are the same. I mean, the way we get ahead is by showing courage. People stepped in when they didn't know what it was. What was common was there was a lot of death and a lot of dying. But at the same time, there was so much empathy, so much support, so much activism, so much similar geopolitical scene. absence of clarity in the science of it. Now, what is this? What is this? How is it going to affect me? We got through that with the same human courage, the resilience, the together in it, and eventually, now people with HIV are living well with HIV. And the similar type of crisis happened. What happened over 40 years is happening within 4 months, 6 months. So we saw a lot of that same type of crisis happening in a much shorter period. So those are the parallels in these pandemics. But in healthcare, the challenges were the same. And somehow we have to do the winning of faith and trust in vaccinations to get us through again, because it has been shown that we can eradicate deadly diseases like polio and measles and mumps and even smallpox, all of that, from vaccines. And so I think the social media was more of a challenge because it created confusion, less clarity. And the media also helped in clarifying quickly so we could spread information quickly as well.
I do want to bring up, you recently became a fellow of the Infectious Diseases Society of America. What does this designation mean, and what does it mean for the community that you serve?
Well, Infectious Disease Society of America is infectious disease consultants, pharmacists, specialists in different aspects of infectious diseases, from science and lab to clinical and practice infectious diseases in a community setting. So being a fellow is sort of the highest honor.
And, yes.
And it is, it was kind of a surprise and a very, gratifying to earn that. And it means a lot to me only because I think in a community setting, to try to achieve, excellence depends on how you lead your community, how you protect your community, how you guide the people that are caring for infections in your community. And not just the medicine of it, but how to live with an infectious disease and, to encourage, people coming out and come and participate and maybe choose their career paths in infectious disease related fields like pharmacy and nursing and you name it, administration or public health service. All of that seems to be sort of gratifying to see that come together and you can become recognized for something like that. And most of all, I think, your personal priorities that you have juggled, for example, over the last 30 years, managing your personal life, your motherhood, your patients, health, and your practice, and helping to get through for others to get through their life's medical illnesses or.
Hey, we are better at multitasking. Everyone knows this. And certainly last year was a showcase for just how important infectious disease physicians are to the community. So many people have thanked you for your tireless work. Now, during this last year of the pandemic, you were a steadfast voice for the community, and you gave updates, ever-changing updates on what was going on with this pandemic, did you feel a sense of personal responsibility to be a voice of authority for your community?
Yeah, I think a lot of, I think you earn this trust only by taking that as a big responsibility. I did think it was my responsibility to stay tuned with the latest updates from the medical, the people in the frontiers, the scientists and the global health, World Health Organizations. There was a lot of information. And sometimes information was not adequate, and you had to have personal experience in, exercising theoretical aspects, because there was not much even science known about this, and we had to look back at our foundation of how we understand infectious diseases to kind of, so yeah, I did consider that a personal responsibility, and
it's tough not to when so many people rely on you, right? And you've become this face of familiarity and comfort.
Maybe I also don't think it was just me alone. I think I felt a member of a huge team of individuals. Without them, I wouldn't be able to get the message out, understand things myself. I would rely on others in other specialties, especially, for example, critical care, people who were pulmonologists or pharmacists, nursing, because many things that even were not in the books, you learned them while caring for patients and learned them to, teach each other. So I thought of myself more like a team member, because I don't think it was at all possible just to be recognized alone, because I wasn't alone. I think it was a huge leadership group that met frequently 3-4 times a week, sometimes on an everyday basis, including weekends throughout the year.
I loved in your Palm Springs Life interview that you had said the touch, being human first and foremost, is so important. And you had talked about, right, you can't touch them back when you were dealing with the HIV pandemic. The touch is so important, just to make someone feel like they're human, just all of us.
Yes, and that was extremely hard, this pandemic, because we truly isolated people. People were isolated in their homes, but even when they were sick in the hospital, they couldn't, have any visitors. It was very, very much of a contrary to what, touching could help. So only the nurses, only the people that could enter the room could touch. And then, everybody who could had their own fears. And it was not very easy to get through those aspects of, the importance of touch in healing.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us, your leadership, your bravery, the courage there as you face this pandemic on the front line. Thank you for sharing all of that. We're going to stay on healthcare and head to Shay now. Shay, you were inspired by your own battle with breast cancer to found Shay's Warriors. Tell us why you created the organization and how you serve the community now.
You're right. It was after my own breast cancer that, that you have this full year of treatment, and you have this community, and it surrounds you, and everybody's almost cheering you on, but they're there for you, for your support. You have your family, your friends, you have your incredible medical team with you. And then you get to that day where they say, no evidence of disease. Yeah, right? It's like, yes, you want to celebrate, and it's like this happy, huge moment in your life, and you're like, oh, and you're like, I'm done. And then you go home and you try to go back to this normal life of working and kids and
as you were,
yeah,
right?
and out and about, and go back to the luncheons and everything. And but what happens is you've changed. You've changed so much over that year of time, and you're fatigued and you're tired and you're not sure what. It's kind of like you're in this almost very weird sense of a time lapse. And then all of a sudden, one day it hits you. And for me, it was an emotional release where I just started crying in my car. And I'm like, what the heck did I just go through? And why can't I move on? Why? I felt very selfish. I'm like, I have this great God-given gift of being alive now, and I should be celebrating it and moving back to this normal life of what I used to be, but I just can't shake what is going on here. And what I realized over time in talking to some of my other girlfriends that had gone through it is there's this emotional, almost just thing that happens. And it's really hard to explain, but it was at that pivotal moment in my life that I was like, I don't have a lot of emotional support now for this. So how do I move on? How do I continue to go forward? And as I realized this, I started talking to someone else, and then I started writing. I started sharing my story on the blog, and people were sharing their stories, and it was this huge creation of ripple effect. And then I went back to my practice of yoga because I was able to do that. And I healed through the movement. And I was able to release things little by little by little. And it wasn't necessarily right away. I didn't go to a therapist, but it took me time to get there because I thought right away, oh, going to a therapist, like there's still something wrong with me. But there wasn't. It was just the fact that I needed to look back almost and realize how strong and how much I had just stayed in this place of getting to the goal of health and healing. And now it was this next part, which a lot of times it's not addressed. Right. It's not addressed through treatment. Nobody prepares you for that. And I want to say no, they don't. It's just nobody prepares you for what's going to happen because every individual reacts differently.
Yeah, I feel like when you're in that survival mode, you hold your emotions in suspension because you're just focusing on surviving. And then when you've made it, it's like this insane, the floodgates open, and maybe not always in the healthiest or the usual of ways.
Yeah.
So it can be confusing.
Well, and it's hard too because you have friends and family that are like, well, you know what? You're good now and I'm gone. And it's not that they walk away from anything. It's that life goes back to normal for everybody else. You're healed now in their minds, but it is an emotional release. You said that perfectly. And a sense of, for the cancer patient, the survivor, the thriver, to remember to give yourself grace and empathy and just to walk that. It's a daily walk and a daily reminder that mindset is really the next stage of the game. And that mindset is what you now have to continue to battle, almost. And be like, that little tiny, ache and pain in your arm is not necessarily bone cancer.
Right.
But it's like
not
that you slept,
taking it
you
to
slept
like
on
level 10.
on yourself that night wrong, or the headache that won't go away. It's that continuous roller coaster. You're on this roller coaster ride forever, and over time, and you'll learn. People learn to be able to be like a little bit better. That anxiety and that fear of reoccurrence, it will over time go away, little by little. But it's work, and I wasn't prepared for that. And so when I noticed that, it was something that I need to share this with others. I need this to be here for other women because I soon found that a lot of other women felt the same way.
What a wonderful and needed organization you've started. Tell me what the most rewarding and difficult parts were of starting your own nonprofit.
Oh my goodness. so much learning.
A bumpy ride.
So much learning of a nonprofit. I'm an entrepreneur as well. And, being that a nonprofit is just like a business, but with a lot more red tape.
Fun.
So fun. The lucky thing is I'm a role player. So I wanted to make sure that every single thing the T was crossed and the box was checked, right? So I called a few friends. We met at my house. I called another friend who I knew was a nonprofit attorney. I had her come, and it was like literally that night, we birthed this new nonprofit and this concept of what it was, and I was like, "Whoa, did that just happen?"
Ding, yeah.
And because I had already applied for the paperwork prior to that, so it all just fell into place. And then with an amazing group of girlfriends and family and support, it was like, here we are doing this little by little. And my friends in other places said, how can we help you? How can you do this? And I literally just wrote it on my blog. I said, this is what I want to do. Can what do you guys think? And so many people just said, yes, like that is needed and go for it. And so that's what I did. And it was this vision of having to go away after I was done with my treatment. I actually took a week-long yoga retreat. And I had to sit there with myself for a while and be like, you know what? I need this downtime to be able to come to some clarity of how can this come to our valley? How can I bring this so that it helps others like it has helped me, being able to write on the blog and being able to speak to other women and connect over coffee and all of that, because we are stronger together. And that's just how it started.
Nice.
Yeah.
Power in women.
Yes.
Power in women. It's just so important to make sure the whole person is taken care of, right? Physically, okay, you're fine, but what about the emotional toll and damage that was done through the process? So incredible work.
You see so much differently. I always would say after cancer, I saw the world with a lot more color.
In what way?
In the fact that little things are not big things anymore. And you see that beautiful bird, you take the time to look at it. You stop to smell the roses.
Yeah.
You
stop sweating the little things that people use. Some people freak out over.
Yes. I mean, you see the world differently through like colored glasses, I guess. Right. And so with Shay's Warriors, with everything that we do, we live hope in color. It's that rainbow in the sky that you see, and it's that hope to know that one day we will live without cancer. It will happen, just like what happened then. So, yeah.
Well, your friends and family know, but how can people watching right now help and get involved with Shay's Warriors?
Well, they can go to our website, which is shayswarriors.org. We have a full community there. We have music for warriors that are going through cancer right now. It's all complimentary. We have a support group, which is all online. So no matter where they are, whether they're here in the Valley or they're across the country or even in Europe, they can come on there. We have something called Talk, Listen, and Share, which is the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and we talk about educational stuff that has to deal with life after cancer. And we just have so much volunteering opportunities that people can be involved, because we are stronger together, and with community, anything can be achieved.
That is a wonderful, wonderful thought to leave you on. Thank you for sharing that. And if you can't, go to shayswarrior.org. God,
Facebook and Instagram too.
Yeah, so. And it's on Instagram.
Don't forget the social media.
This day and age, you got to do it. Thank you for sharing all of that. Is there a shout out you want to give to any particular restaurant, comfort food in the Valley that's gotten you through the pandemic that you maybe relied on more than the other? Is there a favorite spot?
Oh, I have two.
You have two. Let's hear it.
Okay. Sushi. So we're big on sushi. And I'm going to share this because I don't know how many people know this, but we loved Sandfish Sushi in Palm Springs, but we live in Indian Wells. And so that was not a possibility. And then somebody told us that Venue in Palm Desert is the same chef and ownership and has the same menu. Mind blown. So we pretty much ate there like 3 days a week. And then the other one is the Sands Hotel, which is a really great
so
spot.
cute. Yeah.
So cute. Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Dr. Kerkar?
Well, I think during the pandemic, there were quite a few restaurants that sent us food, at the hospital, a lot of times. And I would like to thank them. There's quite a few, 849, Aspen Mills, that did, send us and above and beyond stuff. There were, I once received lipstick and makeup, and I thought, oh my God, I have to wear a mask all day and day and night. What am I going to do? But it was the thought.
Yeah.
And so I would like to thank all of the ones that supported all the frontline workers and sent goodies for us, thought about it, even pizza, things like that. Was really amazing. Every business in Palm Springs and in the area, they were all extremely supportive.
Kitchens, big
Starbucks,
hearts.
you name it. And of course, it was much appreciated.
Thank you. What about you, Shay?
Oh my gosh.
Where to begin? All this time. Do you have an answer?
I have one guilty pleasure that I'll tell you later. But I live really close to Two Madres, and Andy is an empowering woman that I love. My daughter worked for her too, so it was very easy to run over and get these amazing cuisines there. So Two Madres, Alps Village, and Katuki, Mediterranean and Greek. You can never go wrong, and Katuki's potatoes are amazing. That was my comfort food.
Have to try it.
Okay, but my guilty pleasure. I am a hamburger girl.
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
You're my girl. You're my girl.
I am a hamburger and French fries girl. Yes. And so my guilty pleasure was Little Bar.
Oh, nice.
In Palm Desert.
Yeah.
So Skip's Little Bar, awesome. I had to get my hamburger and my French fries weekly. So I was like, if I'm gonna be inside all the time, I'm gonna go with that.
I better have my burger and fries.
There's a few new places to add to my list now. Thank you for that. All right, final question for each of you. We'll start with you, Shay. Tell us about something you're really excited about today.
Well, I am super excited because the world is starting to open up. And because everything changed with Shay's, we just had an amazing, event planning session that happened the other day. So we'll be able to kick off what our original mission was for Shay's Warriors is next year host a really beautiful retreat for our survivor and thrivership community. So yes, I'm super excited. We have an amazing team that's working on it. It's gonna take a year to do. So I'm super excited about that because it's been a long time coming. And I think even for me, I get a little emotional about it because I know how many people it's gonna help. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, and what a reward after the pandemic to have this retreat happen. I'm excited for you. I think we're all excited for you. Dr. Kerkar, tell me something you're excited about today.
I'm also excited about the fact that we're able to open up. I'm excited about the fact that people are stepping up to get vaccinated. I'm hoping to continue to try to win the trust and faith in vaccines as a way to continue to stay open, and that we can, stay off the, ward off these strains that are, more infectious, and hope that we can win the race with the COVID, to have at least 80% of the entire globe vaccinated, or at least immune. The herd immunity will save everything. And no one is safe until everyone is safe everywhere on the globe. So my hope and happy thought for this time is that we put our faith in vaccines and get vaccines, get people to make sure they are, stepping up, getting vaccinated, younger people especially, and everyone who's above the age of 18 should, and consider. Universities are going to open up, schools are going to open up. We want to go to the theaters, looking forward to that, when we all can be safe, and it's up to us. So I'm hoping that we do that.
Yeah, it's such an uphill battle, but I think we're very lucky to have you fighting the good fight.
And I'm hopeful. I'm happy.
You have to stay hopeful.
Yes.
Right? What about you, Laurie? Tell me something you are excited about today.
I'm very excited that everything has opened back up, and really excited that our team is so much stronger where we are now than where we were a year ago. If somebody had sat me down at the beginning of COVID and said that was going to be the outcome, I don't know that I would have believed it, but it really is. It meant the team really came together, and that people are feeling that they really have their sea legs. We figured it out, and we actually know a different way around it, or through it, or both. And I think that, for us, we had to pivot in a few areas, and that worked, and we feel good about that. So now I'm just excited for the future and where the future is gonna take us.
Where do you think the future is going to take us?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Do you have another 3 hours? All right, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. No, I think that everything that we said here, we're all in a better place, really, in the end. I think, you can never be thankful for a pandemic. Nobody wants to be thankful for it. It's an awful situation. People lost their lives. It's horrible. But in it and through it and around it, I think we all feel like we're better humans, we're better people, we're more passionate, and more empowered, and more empathetic, So I think that that's really where it's taken us.
We would like to travel.
Yes, oh my gosh, yes, add that to the list.
People from other parts of the world, right. We'll get there soon. With the vaccines. Well, thank you, Shay, Laurie, and Dr. Kerkar. It has been so wonderful getting to know all of you. It is incredibly clear to me why each of you were chosen to be the Women Who Lead honorees. Such a pleasure. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors and partners, KESQ, SBEMP Attorneys, and SkinCeuticals Skin Lab Cosmetic Surgery Institute. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. We will send out a recap with the link to this recording. Thanks again, and have a wonderful afternoon.